per carry. He's really a speed back. I like him in third down passing game as well. We've seen him in that role a little bit. It's going to be heavily used, though. I mean, Arkansas is a run-first team, and I don't really see that changing in this bowl game. And I think another reason why the run game's so effective is because you've got KJ who's able to get yards for himself and also open up the passing game and running game for other people because he's got 126 attempts, 554 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, here's the crazy stat for you. If Raheem Sanders gets 1 yard, he is a 500-yard rusher. Dominique Johnson gets 2 yards, he's a 500-yard rusher. 4 500-yard rushers is very, very possible, and I do expect that to happen. That's incredible for an offense to have that many guys run for 5,000 yards. And I think this shows you how effective Kendall Brown's offense has been, especially on the running game this year. It's been in the top 3 in the SEC in running. And then also, running back coach Jimmy Smith. He's done a fantastic job recruiting a lot of these young running backs like Raheem Sanders, A.J. Green, Dominique Johnson, and developing them too. I also think the Arkansas offense needs to be effective in the red zone. 23 rushing touchdowns on the year and 21 passing, which is a little bit different compared to the amount of attempts on the ground and the attempts in the air. Arkansas needs to really be able to be dual threat and sling the football out without Burks. If Arkansas can just have a consistent passing game, it'll open up the running game and such. It's a lot to ask for, though, because Burks is out and this offense really hasn't revolved around him. But I trust KJ to get it done. Now, the Penn State defense is down 5 players due to opt-outs. Penn State's defense has been great this season, holding opponents to 16.8 points per game. They've allowed 344 yards as well. The rush defense has been incredible, only allowing 135.7 rushing yards per game. Now, the defensive line has huge switches with so many opt-outs. The first thing is Jesse Lukita will likely be switching to linebacker in this game and edge rusher, and then you're down defensive tackles like Bakatai, who opted out of the bowl game, and they've had a lot of injuries as well. For their starters, I do expect to see Nick Tarberton on the front line, Smith Vilber, and Zariah Fisher, an edge rusher who is a name to watch, really talented prospect, has been stepping up for them with the injuries, and then also Jordan Van Den Berg. Those are the 4 guys I expect to see on their line. Now, they are really struggling at linebacker. Brooks and Smith, both starting linebackers, opted out of the bowl game. 181 combined tackles, but they do still have Curtis Jacobs, starter this season. He's playing in this one. 51 total tackles for him, 31 solo ones. They've got so many young guys here at linebacker that I do think they'll switch some guys from edge rusher and safety to play linebacker in this one, just because I don't think all these young guys are ready and they have better options by switching guys out and such. And if we go over to their passing defense, 208.3 per game allowed. At safety, all Big Ten. Brisker opted out of the bowl game, like I said earlier. But Sutner's still playing safety. He's 5'11", 201. He's fantastic. And Sutherland is likely switching to linebacker. He's 5'11", 201, so he'll probably be starting alongside Jacobs. Jair Brown is still starting at safety for them. 61 total tackles with 4 picks. He's a really fast guy, and as a ball hawk, him and Brisker were a dangerous duo for this Penn State defense that was huge in their success this season to get an Outback Bowl berth. Keaton Ellis, he was injured earlier in the season, but it looks like he's going to be able to start it in this one, so I do expect him to play opposite end of Brown. Now for corners, Joey Porter Jr. announced he's returning for another season at Penn State. He's got 4 pass deflections and 1 interception. And then Tariq Castro-Fields, he's also playing in the bowl game, 7 pass deflections, and then some other corners, Kalen King, Daquan Hardy. This cornerback room has a lot of guys for Penn State, returning at corner, not really the same at safety and such. I think the thing is Arkansas has to take advantage of what they have up front, though, with Penn State being down so many guys due to injuries, due to opt-outs. Arkansas has to be able to really run the ball. If Arkansas can get like 300 yards rushing, there's no reason they should lose that game, and I wouldn't be shocked if they went for that number. Quick little look at special teams for Penn State. Kicker Jordan Stout, he's got 82 points on the season, 70% field goal rate, and 95% completion percentage on extra points. He's also their punter, averaging a 46.5 punting yards, and he had a fake punt versus Michigan that worked out. Kick returner, you've got Devon Ford, and then punt returner, it used to be Jahan Dotson, but it's likely going to be Ford or Washington, their other wide receiver. Now for Arkansas special teams, you've got Cam Little. He's got 100 points, 82.6% field goal percentage, and 100% extra points. For punter, you got the GOAT, Reed Bauer, 43.2 average yards per punt. Kick return, Arkansas just lets it go out of the end zone most of the time. But if you see anybody take him, I think it'll be A.J. Green, 9 kick returns on the season. And then punt returner, Nathan Peroty's done really good this season, 17 punt returns for 197 yards and 1 touchdown. He ran it back. Now the odds for this game right now is Arkansas minus 1 point. They've been changing a lot with Penn State opt-outs. It was originally like Penn State minus 3, but it's kind of swung to the Arkansas side as Penn State's been losing a lot of guys. Arkansas's money line is minus 120, and the over-under is set at 48. Now, ESPN gives Arkansas a 41% chance of winning, but I don't think that includes all of the opt-outs for both teams in this one. Now, my prediction, I've got the Hogs rolling in this one in Tampa. Arkansas wins 27-21. Arkansas is able to win by pushing up front with their offensive line. Arkansas bringing all 5 offensive line starters into this game. I think it's huge. They're going to be able to really control up front against a Penn State defensive line that is missing a lot of key guys. I also think Arkansas has a lot of power backs, and when you have inexperienced linebackers, Arkansas is going to be able to get a lot of broken tackles and such on those guys. I also like a nice day from wide receiver Devon Warren. I think he's had the speed all season, and I think he's going to go out in his final game and have a nice one. For rush strategy on offense works really well. I expect Arkansas to get 250-plus rushing yards in this one. But Arkansas still has to play well, especially at secondary. We've seen Arkansas secondary get burnt a lot, and games become, super high scoring, and the Arkansas offense has to put up an extreme amount of points to win. So the secondary has to hold up well. I do think this game will be lots of fun, though. It's a bowl game, end of the season. Both teams having some fun down in Tampa, including the fans. I should have a recap of this one on Monday or Tuesday. I'll have to check, but you can check on my Twitter at AllHogsSportsPod. Yeah, but you know the deal. Team Bloom and Onions for the win. Go Hogs. Woo Pig Suey.
That's all for today's episode of All Hogs Sports with Sam Stimson. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode covering all Arkansas Razorback sports. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media too. On Twitter and Instagram at All Hogs Sports Pod. Like on Facebook at All Hogs Sports and Arkansas Razorbacks Podcast. And on YouTube at that same name. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Go Hogs!